All right, guys, let's get right into this. There's been some recent content on social media that has made CrossFit and MetFix seem adversarial. And I do not see it that way at all. I have always been a vehement defender of CrossFit, and if you've watched any of my videos, you know that. So it's been odd to suddenly be on the side where suddenly people in the CrossFit realm are attacking. And I wanted to clarify Janelle and I's view on CrossFit and MetFix and why we think they fit together and are not adversarial. And adding in MetFix just adds to our ability to serve all of you guys at the gym. And that this is not, what I want to say is first, this is not a zero-sum game. And some people have seemed to characterize it as that. If MetFix does better, it's going to take away from CrossFit and vice versa. I want CrossFit to take over the world, and I want MetFix to be very successful. And one has nothing to do with the other. CrossFit will live and die on its own merit, and so will MetFix. And so, as I've said, Janelle and I being CrossFit zealots, we have never talked bad about CrossFit. It's funny that a lot of the people now attacking MetFix are the same people that have attacked CrossFit, because we have never attacked CrossFit at all. But our relationship with them has changed a little bit over the last few years. But one of the first ways I would describe myself is I am a CrossFitter. When I started with CrossFit, Greg Glassman was running the show, and he believed in what he was doing. He was on a mission to change how the world thought about health and fitness and how they did both. And that was it. And he made decisions based on fulfilling that mission, not on how he could make the most money. He was also very hands-off with the affiliates. He didn't feel like he needed to tell us how to run our business, to the chagrin of some. But he believed he had a different role. And I understand this role. He doesn't want to be the boss of gyms, and I'm going to tell you how to do your P&L and your spreadsheet and run challenges. He was clearing the path for us in a lot of ways. So he was very litigious. He spent a lot of money paying attorneys to clear the path for the CrossFit gyms, and he spent a lot of time providing content in the CrossFit Journal that has passed the test of time and has been invaluable as far as for myself and a lot of others, Janelle and anybody in this space, educating themselves on movement and diet and lifestyle and all of it. Letting those of us who wanted to deepen our knowledge and the resources we have do so. He was providing those resources. Another thing, as usual, he was more prescient than most about he was concerned about the effect the CrossFit Games were going to have on the message and on the goal of what he was trying to do. And his time has proven him right that it muddies the waters. It confuses the message. He wanted to show old people and overweight people on the main site, and he didn't care if that was what was best for business or not. He got disagreement on that because other people were like, this isn't good for business. And Greg didn't care. He did care. The reason he wanted to do that is he wanted to show we can make a difference in these kind of people's lives. And that was what he was trying to do. So that's how he was making his decisions. Then the company was sold to private equity. And I don't consider them evil or bad in any way, but their goals and mission are obviously completely different than Greg's. They are first to make money. And they have done this in some intelligent ways. They have the affiliate playbook. They provide a lot of resources to the affiliate owners. Yeah, this is how you do a P&L, or this is how you do a balance sheet. This is how you do challenges. And that's great for those that need it. I have not taken advantage of that because I didn't feel like I needed that kind of resources. And they have also, on the business side, they want to promote the games. Now, they've wanted to promote the games while also cutting costs on the games. So we could definitely say, net, have they done a good or bad job with that? It's definitely up for debate. Since it changed hands, I have had a business relationship with CrossFit. This is what makes this unique. The word CrossFit refers both to a methodology and to a company. It is where I have gotten most of my continuing education in the last 20 years. And I believe it is some of the best education in the industry. These are the big reasons why I have stayed affiliated: the education and the methodology. I believe we are established enough as a CrossFit gym as a gym that if suddenly I de-affiliated, it would not affect our business very much. You guys would keep getting the service and the experience and the community that you've always gotten. So I don't think it would change much. But we use the methodology, and I love the education. And these things are the main reason I have not even considered de-affiliating. It seems disingenuous to me. And having said that too, I like the games. I like the CrossFit games. I'm a big fan. Though my personal interest has declined a little bit in the last few years, and I'll explain why. The old school CrossFit gamers were also affiliate owners or members, or they were on seminar staff teaching the CrossFit level 1s and level 2s. And I believe that kept them true to the mission, more on board with the mission of what CrossFit as a philosophy was meant to do. And it kept them grounded as individuals. Guys, there's nothing like, sure, maybe one weekend they were going to be signing autographs, and the next weekend they're cleaning toilets or mopping floors. You guys know doing CrossFit. Doing CrossFit is going to keep you humble because you are going to come up against your limitations all the time. Being a CrossFit gym owner is a servant-based job. I happen to love it, but it's going to keep you humble too. And I believe it had that effect on a lot of the old games athletes. Most of the newer athletes, especially since the sale of CrossFit, do not have that kind of a relationship with CrossFit. They work in camps, they work with private coaches, and they are kind of mercenaries who will go to whatever gym gives them the best exposure and gives them the best deal. And their relationships are more with supplement companies, food companies, and clothing companies. And that's a symbiotic relationship. The clothing companies, the supplement companies, the food companies get exposure, and these guys get to be sponsored to help them, be athletes for a living, work out for a living. But most of them do not eat according to the CrossFit prescription of eat meat, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. They eat for performance. They need to maximize their performance in the moment. And guys, this is why the original goal of CrossFit was to have a large work capacity over broad time and modal domains, but to do that for your whole life, to live a long, healthy life. And when you're training and eating towards health, the nice ancillary benefit and side benefit that comes with that is you'll get performance. But when you're eating and training for performance at the expense of everything else, health does not come along with that. And their diets reflect that. They are eating strictly for performance in the sport, not to live the life and do what we are trying to do at the gym. And so that's why over time, it's a confusing message. How is what they're doing different than what we're doing? And it's something I've had to explain many times, and it's not a big deal, but that is why I think there's a difference between how the older games athletes done it and the newer games athletes have done it. And now CrossFit is currently for sale again. There are implications of that. Is it going to be sold in two parts, like the affiliates and the education piece here and the games here? Is it going to be sold together? We'll see. There are certain ownership groups I'm personally rooting for. I want them to be sold to a good owner and keep doing good. That is very much what I'm hoping for in this. And now along comes MetFix. And guys, to give a little background, Janelle and I got involved with Broken Science before MetFix even existed. And I don't know exactly, but I think that's how Emily and Bob Kaplan got involved with Greg, is they were going down the road of studying metabolic disease and how diet and lifestyle greatly affect metabolic disease, and how metabolic disease is the possible and likely cause of cancer and Alzheimer's, and for sure diabetes, especially type 2, obviously. But a lot of other factors, all of these chronic illnesses that we have so much of today, are caused by diet and lifestyle, which causes metabolic dysfunction. So that's how them and Greg got together. And this is what Janelle and I have been trying to get more education on for a long time, because it's become just as important at the gym and working with you guys, not just to get you a 500-pound deadlift, but it's also to help you live a long, healthy life avoiding chronic disease. And we're realizing that the biggest factor in that is not how many push presses you can do, but is what you're putting in your mouth and what you're doing in the other 23 hours outside of the gym. So along comes MetFix. And as I was just saying, as I have aged with CrossFit, my understanding of how the methodology is applied on a daily basis has broadened and deepened and changed. And much more so because of the diet. When I first started with CrossFit, I was kind of the mindset that you can out-train a bad diet. I was your typical guy that thought I could just work hard enough. And I've realized, the wisdom of getting older, that's just not true. And the biggest differences in my performance now come in diet and lifestyle changes, not in training changes. And I'm not at no sugar. I probably never will be at no sugar. I doubt any of us will be ever at no sugar in our diet. But one of the factors is there's not a whole lot of redeeming qualities about sugar. It's delicious, but doesn't really do anything good for you. Kind of like alcohol and kind of like seed oils. That's why they're all kind of in the same category. Fruit, you can eat too much fruit, but there's a lot of benefit from fruit. Starches, you can eat too much starches, but there's benefit from them. There is really no good benefit other than it's delicious with sugar and seed oils and alcohol. And having said that, guys, on a side note, if any of you guys know of a blue cheese dressing that is seed oil free, I would be forever in your debt. I am desperate for a blue cheese dressing. All the other dressings, you can find them with avocado oil and different non-seed oils. There is no such thing as a blue cheese that doesn't have seed oil, and I love blue cheese dressing. So help me out. But anyways, I was just on a call today, a MetFix call with Greg, just a little while ago. And he would still say the main issues with metabolic dysfunction is that it is caused by sugar. And there are other things that are Broken Science and MetFix are covering with the effect of seed oils, as I said, and a lot of other factors too. But yeah, the big bad guy is high levels of processed carbs and sugars lead to all kinds of metabolic diseases, and that leads to, cancer and Alzheimer's and all kinds of stuff. Greg has called himself the Chief Philosophy Officer of MetFix. He has never said he's running the daily business of MetFix. That has never been my understanding. No one has ever said that to me. But I will say, regardless of how much or little he is involved, it is way, way more than he is involved with CrossFit, which is to say not at all, obviously. And I can say CrossFit has recently increased their interest in the nutrition side again, which I think is not coincidental that MetFix exists and this has happened, and I'm glad that's happened. But as far as studying sugar leading to metabolic diseases and chronic illness, they don't really care about that. And that's why for Janelle and I, MetFix is a completely different thing. We use the CrossFit methodology, and I want to stay with CrossFit for the exercise and methodology side. I want to use MetFix to help serve you guys better by broadening our understanding of all the science and biology behind all the nutrients and micronutrients have the effects on your body. They serve two different purposes. And I'll go more into that in future videos. But obviously you can't say that CrossFit is following Greg's original plan. They are there as a company to make money. I can say that MetFix and Broken Science are following Greg's original mission of how do I help people live long, healthy lives, and how do we get rid of a lot of the myths out there as far as what is involved in that. I have CrossFit to thank for the life that Janelle and I have right now, and I love my life. I love working with you guys. I'm more zealous about it than I ever have been. But more specifically, we have Greg to thank for that and all the education we have gotten in this arena. The company of CrossFit has continued to exist as a brand, but if CrossFit suddenly didn't exist anymore, we would still exist as a gym, and we would still have loved all the education we got from them. But now, when we found Broken Science and we're studying the science behind things, and now with MetFix, we are back with, I would call it a fraternity of like-minded individuals. I've heard Greg use that phrase. A fraternity of like-minded individuals learning the science and being interested in the science behind this, so how we can help not just the athletes, not just the normal folks you think go into a gym, but the people least likely to go into a gym. How can I get all of your guys, all the members at the gym, how can I get all of your parents to come in? That's what I'm working on now. So it's nice to be part of something again where I feel like our mission is aligned. I don't need someone to tell me how to run the box. For better or worse, I figured that out over the last few years. But I do want help with the science behind the biology of how we eat affects our overall health and longevity. And the devil is in the details with that kind of stuff, guys. And it shows when people say, I know all I need to know about nutrition. Maybe for yourself you do, if it's working for you. But for myself as a gym owner and a coach, and for Janelle trying to work with people on getting better lives, we can never know too much. Knowledge is power. So we will never stop learning in this arena. The solution, guys, we all know the solution is simple. But getting all of us to achieve that solution is not simple. Eating and understanding how what you eat affects how you think, how you feel, how you act is crucial for us, because we are essentially a big ball of hormones. And the foods we eat affect our hormones. And if Janelle and I can understand that better, we can understand how you're feeling and thinking and acting right now to help get you down the path of eating and feeling better in the future. If you just think giving someone a meal plan and tell them stop eating all of this and start eating all of this is going to work, then you've never done it. So going back to, again, guys, my original point on this, I want CrossFit to succeed as much as I ever have. I'm a proud level 3 coach. I'd like to someday be a level 4 coach. I want all my coaches to be level 3 coaches. CrossFit and we move in the same world, but our goals are a little bit different. I've mentioned this before. If you guys thought every decision I made was how much money I could make, we would have a business relationship, but that would be it. You guys trust me and Janelle because you know that is not how I make every decision. Yes, we need to make a living through the gym, but I make lots of decisions investing back in the gym because it helps me serve you guys better. None of you guys would care if Janelle and I didn't go to this MetFix Foundations course, but we went because we want to gain the knowledge to help work with you guys down the road. And you wouldn't know what you were missing because we haven't done it yet. But I like to think in the future, you'll be glad we went and got that information too. And going back to, I am never considering with you guys how to peak as a games athlete. Like, that doesn't enter into my realm of factoring in, but it does for games athletes. What I'm considering is, how do you guys peak as a human being at age 70 with a capable body and a razor sharp brain? How do you avoid getting chronic disease? And whether CrossFit, again, takes over the world or becomes bankrupt is not affected by MetFix. And whether MetFix falls apart as a company or succeeds is not affected by CrossFit. CrossFit controls its own destiny just like it always has. And when I see a lot of these people attacking it, to me that maybe tells me about their confidence in the job they're doing. And I think, as I said, it's no coincidence, I don't think, that CrossFit has recently pushed out their nutrition course, a new format of it, and you could get it when you did the Community Cup. I don't think that's a coincidence that that's happening while MetFix is around. But what is interesting is MetFix is obviously going way further down that rabbit hole and not dealing at all with the exercise side. They kind of assume, yeah, you guys know how to teach push presses and deadlifts and cleans. But they are going back to Greg's original philosophy of how do we avoid chronic disease and how do we live a long, healthy life. What I like about Greg too is he never put restrictions on CrossFit gyms as far as like you can make your coaches sign a non-compete or a gym can't open up across the street from you. He didn't care. He wanted competition. And I think it's because, yeah, let the cream rise to the top. Let the best gyms rise to the top. I want a lot of good CrossFit gyms in San Antonio, not just, I don't want them all. I don't want to be the only good CrossFit gym in San Antonio. I want them all to be good. It only makes all of us better. And so when I see people attacking something like MetFix, it tells me a lot more about, I think, the job they think they're doing. And it's interesting, again, that these are the same people that attack CrossFit in some ways. Because I want both to succeed, and both succeeding only makes all of us better. When CrossFit just started back in the day, they used to make these infidel shirts. And that was because this was before the Reebok sponsorship, all that, as you bought them on the main site. CrossFit was the rebellion in the fitness world. It was on the edge of the front lines of what was happening in fitness. And when these attacks come, again, suddenly now, It very much reminds me of the early days of CrossFit, because when people were attacking CrossFit, it was obvious to me they didn't understand what we were doing, because their attacks weren't even about what we were doing. It was very invalid. They don't understand intensity, they're dangerous, all this stuff. And I was like, you don't know what we're doing, or you wouldn't be saying that. Now the whole world does CrossFit in some form or another. Look at all the global gyms, all the equipment they have. High Rocks, Spartan Races, any competitive fitness thing, they all have Greg and CrossFit to thank for that. Everybody is doing power cleans and kettlebell swings and fast-paced circuits of movements. And they have Greg Glassman to thank for this. And CrossFit got attacked a lot back then. And now, it feels like CrossFit has had the luxury of either you're affiliated with CrossFit or you're affiliated with nothing. And again, I'm going to stay affiliated with CrossFit. But now there is MetFix too that gyms can become a part of. Again, I think very different in a lot of ways, but they can be associated with this entity as well. And I hope it pushes both to be better at what they're doing, to provide a better service. But it is kind of funny now to be on this side and feel like kind of the infidel again. Feel like part of being on the front lines of what is happening in the fitness world and changing and pushing the boundaries of what we're doing. When I first took my level 1 back in 2007 or 8, Dave Castro taught it. And I was in the room and I was like, these are my people. These are people that care about fitness and want to make a difference. When Janelle and I were at the CrossFit Foundation, or the MetFix Foundations at Rogue a couple weekends ago, I thought the same thing. These people, when we'd break out into groups, we were not talking about how to make money with the next challenge and how to cut costs at the gym. We were talking about the knowledge of how do we help people get better with their diet and lifestyle the 23 hours outside of the gym? How do we make people better human beings? And it was very invigorating and fun to be a part of a group that was talking about that, and I could tell cared as much as we do about it. I have gotten certifications, you know, through Charles Poliquin, which has nothing to do with CrossFit, and you guys don't know it, but you've done a lot of Charles Poliquin's training methodology at King William District CrossFit. I've taken Olympic lifting certifications because it helped me teach the Olympic lifts. None of this took away from CrossFit. It only strengthened our ability to give what we give at King William District CrossFit. That is why we're part of MetFix too, because it does the same thing, but more on the science and diet side. And what I am more concerned about, again, is more than a 500-pound deadlift at a 5-minute mile. It's that as you're getting older, that you continue to be able to deadlift well over your body weight, and that you have beautiful blood work for your whole life, and you got that beautiful blood work without taking metformin or beta blockers. And there's nothing wrong with metformin and beta blockers, but it's lovely when you can control it with your lifestyle, doing it the old-fashioned way. You can be a games athlete and be pre-diabetic, and that would be an abomination to Greg. That was never a part of his goal. Being as far away from sickness as you can be, that was what his goal was. And that is more affected by diet and lifestyle than how many push presses I can do. We all need to do push presses. It's a given. We need to be able to do that. But feeding the machine with the right fuel is going to push the needle further on having the longevity on our health and fitness. And Janelle and I have just become a part of a group that is helping us deepen and broaden our knowledge on that. And suddenly, we are the infidels again, I guess. All right, guys, that was a long one. Hope you stayed with me. Let me know what you think.